Good afternoon and welcome back to Pretty Petty Politics. I am here this afternoon with attorney Jimmie Brown, candidate for Harris County Civil 270 District Court. I got so tongue tied with that. But he's here this afternoon to talk to us, not just about his campaign, but about himself. And so I hope you all will go ahead and like and share this post. Go ahead and like and share to all your groups so that you and others who have not voted yet can learn about Attorney Brown here and possibly vote for him to be our next judge of the 270th District Civil Court. So welcome to Pretty Petty Politics.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Excellent, excellent. So, here on Pretty Petty Politics, we ask everybody the same first question. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your first time voting. Or a memorable time, but I like to hear about the first time.
First time, 17 going on 18, University of California, San Diego, married student dorms, and was in the presidential voting, and it was between Carter and Reagan.
Carter and Reagan. And tell me, how was that? What was the climate at the time? Like, how were people feeling about that election?
Well, Reagan was a former governor for California.
Mm-hmm.
We knew how he had screwed up the UC system. So it really wasn't, Republicans loved him. Carter, peanut farmer, real nice guy. People were making this big thing about the Iran or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And that he was too soft, but I thought that he was good. That was before. I found out he was Navy after I joined the Navy, but I thought he was a good person to vote for. Fortunately, my vote apparently didn't matter because he lost, but that's who I voted for.
Okay, Jimmy Carter. That was what, 1980, you said?
Oh, that would have been 1975, 76, somewhere in there.
Hold on. Oh, so Reagan ran against him twice? Oh, I didn't realize that. So 76, you voted.
I voted in 76.
Okay, all right. And you were at University of California, San Diego.
Yep, La Jolla.
La Jolla. Oh, okay. So you're Navy?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that experience.
When my father was in the Air Force.
Okay, so I can relate to that.
I'm an Air Force brat. And I always knew that I wanted to go in the military. Mm-hmm. Of all my siblings, I have 2 brothers, 1 sister. Mm-hmm. Though my older brother was selected for the Air Force Academy. He didn't go. But I always knew that I was going to go into the military. I just didn't know when. And then when I went to law school, I found out about the JAG Corps, which every branch has. And I said, okay, well, I can be a military lawyer. And I honestly was thinking about being in Air Force because Dad was Air Force. I wanted to be Air Force. But the Air Force didn't have the program that the Navy did. For the Air Force, you had to pass the bar and then apply for the program. But in the Navy, they would accept you while you were in law school.
Okay.
And then you'd have 2 opportunities to pass the bar in order to get in. And the selling point for that was your summers, you would be going off to what's basically called TIMDU or ACDUTRA, active duty for training, and you would be getting O1 pay. So, so I was getting almost $2,000 a month in my breaks between
semesters.
Yeah, and
that's some money.
Yeah, and so matter of fact, that was when I bought my Instant-Mobile. I had a 280ZX that I got.
What color was it? Was it that silverish blue?
Blue.
The blue, the light blue?
Dark, the light royal blue.
Okay.
It was royal blue. And 5-speed, bought in Pasadena, California. They sent me down to Pensacola initially, then sent me over to
Jacksonville.
no, I went to Long Beach.
Okay.
And then after that, they sent me back to Pensacola between when I was waiting for the bar and then when I got my bar results. And then I went off to Newport, Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Okay. So you've been everywhere.
The Navy was a good experience as far as that was concerned.
Okay.
There were a lot of things I learned about myself while I was in the Navy. Just like we call the Navy the Canoe Club. It is the Canoe Club. A lot of the COs came from red states. You find out a lot of how people think about you. And, you know, people have this negative view about lawyers in the first place. And when you are the staff judge advocate for a command, when you're doing what they want, they love you. When you got to tell them what the law is and what not to do, they ain't too keen on that.
Yeah, yeah. And how long did you serve in the military?
I did about 4.5 to 5 years active, and then I did the remainder of my time in the reserves.
Okay.
And it was total around 26, 27 years, but good time was a little over 20 years.
Okay. And what brought you to Texas?
I went to law school at Thurgood Marshall School of Law.
Okay.
And when I was at UC San Diego, I pledged Alpha, and one of my persons that pledged me was William Abraham Tobias Byrd.
Okay.
You figure out why I remember this name, because it was drilled into our heads, his name. So, and he was over at the EEOC recruitment. He was the dean of that program at UC San Diego. And when he left UC, he had a position at TSU. Okay. And he had gone, I believe, to Cheney State, and he was an advocate of going to historically Black institutions. Being out in Southern California, I had never gone to an historically Black institution. And I figured that law school would probably be the last time I would probably go to anybody's college. And so I applied, sat out a year, got in, and the rest is history.
Okay, so Thurgood Marshall. So when you came here for law school, did you know you were going to make this home base?
No. The fun part, because Dad was in the Air Force, when Ellington was an operational base, that's where my dad was stationed. Oh. And so I was born in Pasadena, Texas. I was born in Pasadena, Texas in 1957. Okay. I was the first Black child born in that hospital. At that time, Pasadena was Klan territory. And when I had to go take my, when I was applying for the bar,
you had to take it at the fairground.
Well, you had to get a copy of your birth certificate.
Okay.
And so I went to the Vital Statistics records place and went in there. There was like 3 or 4 white women behind the desk. And they asked me why I was there, and I said, to get a copy of my birth certificate. And they said, what year? And I said, 1957. And the woman said, are you sure? And I said, yeah. I said, my mama has a pretty good idea where her children were born, but why don't you just humor me and look for it anyway? And so that was when they had those little roller things. And so I saw her doing it, and you could hear the shock in her voice when she said, it's here. And so she said, well, how many copies do you want? And I said, 6. And so she made me 6 copies. And, I paid for them. And then when I was leaving, I said, this one's for y'all. I said, because I know y'all going to talk about this when I leave.
Oh, my gosh. OMG.
That happened.
Did you have to take the bar down there too? Because I know they administer the bar at the Pasadena Fairgrounds.
We took the bar. My best friend, he and I went to the Navy together, Michael Davenport, and we took it downtown Houston. Matter of
Okay.
fact, there's what is it now? I think they do the training for either HPD or the Sheriff's Department out of the building they used to be downtown, part of the downtown campus
Okay.
for University of Houston. And we got a hotel away from everybody. And, you know, you study up to the bar and you study through the bar. And so that's where I took it. And we passed. As a matter of fact, when I was down in Pensacola, and Michael called me because he was down in Corpus, and he said I passed because the results had come out, but he couldn't be totally happy because he didn't know whether I had. And so that particular weekend, I drove back home because I was married to my first wife then, and saw the envelope. And I said, well, it's going to be what it's going to be. And I opened it. And I honestly, I jumped. I jumped high enough to just about hit the ceiling. And called him up. We going to be lawyers, you know. And it was, both my parents were alive then. And it was a highlight in my life because since the sixth grade, I said I was going to be a lawyer. And I became an attorney. I remember the hooding. I remember, you know, the process walking across the stage at TSU, and that was at that auditorium.
Yeah.
And then when we went to get sworn in, that was we got sworn in Austin, and it was a good time.
A good time.
You know, I for my family, first lawyer on either side. Not first graduate from college, but my older brother was the first master's and PhD.
Okay. You're the first attorney.
First attorney with a Juris Doctorate. My little brother has a master's, and my sister has a master's.
Okay. Parents raised y'all right. Got y'all together.
That was something that was important. In the 60s for African Americans, especially for people who came out of what I call real discrimination. Education was important. And Dad did not play about that. I was premature. So I definitely had learning issues growing up. And of all my siblings, I'm the only one that failed the first grade. And failed the first grade. And nothing really came together. I mean, I was in the sixth grade and I was barely reading at a third grade level.
Oh. What happened to turn things around?
I believe this and will say this to this day. I got strep throat when we walked on the moon for the first time. I got strep throat. I was out of school for a month. In that time frame, I believe God performed a miracle on me. And I went in functioning third grade level just about at everything. When I came out, I was functioning at a sophomore in college level.
Oh, wow.
I went from the sixth grade to the eighth grade. I never saw the seventh.
That's incredible.
But that is what happened.
Okay, so hold on, I'm trying to make sure we're live. Oh, here we go. I have to make sure. Sometimes we had technical difficulties earlier. I'm like, let's make sure this Wi-Fi.
Did you go down here too?
Huh?
Did you have electrical out down here?
Just for a few minutes earlier today. So I was like, let me make sure we still up and
Northwest was happening a lot.
Okay, yeah, because we switched over to hotspot, cell phone hotspot. Like, we're not losing this. All right, so Born in Pasadena. We gotta talk about that offline because you know that tickles me. Pasadena, Texas. Raised in San Diego.
San Bernardino.
San Bernardino. Okay. Nice.
Pretty much, but I mean, I've lived in Wichita Falls, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I was born around here, so Houston, Harris County. Châteauroux, France. Germany.
Mm-hmm.
But we were children. My little brother was born in Châteauroux, France.
Oh, wow.
And I still remember it in my mind, the cobblestone streets, walking in those little ravines.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this mark on my forehead running through the house and ran into the edge of a table. And so they had to stitch that up. And when we came back from France, we were speaking French fluently.
Oh, wow.
But Dad forbade us from speaking French in the house. Different time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was concerned, my father from Alabama, that, you know, Black speaking that uppity language.
Mm-hmm. And make you a target.
Yeah.
It's protecting you.
And so he would not allow us to speak French.
So you lost some of that language?
I can still understand some of it.
Okay.
I do speak Spanish, not as well as I used to. But my mother was from Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they spoke Creole. And, you know, Shan and, you know, my parent was my godfather. So, you know, there are some things in Creole I do understand.
Okay. So we go to law school. Can't believe you from Pasadena, Texas. That just blew me. Because I just knew you were just straight up California all the way,
No.
Besides traveling with the military. You go to law school. Why civil, or did you do criminal?
I did criminal.
Okay.
In the military, you do the wide gambit. So you're going to do defense under the UCMJ, administrative actions. I did some summary court martials where I was the summary court martial officer, which is basically a judge. Administrative proceedings, investigations, admiralty investigations, basically the law of the seas, ships going kiss in the night, accidentally blowing people out of the water, things of that nature. Tort claims against the United States government. And then I did child support enforcement with the Texas Attorney General, white collar crime with the U.S. Attorney, and then administrative law as an administrative law judge with the Texas Railroad Commission.
Okay. I have to ask you that offline too. We got all these elections coming up. You got a lot of experience. That means you know a lot about a lot of these roles that are on the ballot. But you said you practiced, I think earlier when we were talking offline, 42 years?
42 years.
42 years of practicing law. Why judge and why now?
I ran earlier in 2018 against Ursula Hall. And I ran, honestly, for some of the same reasons I'm running now. Ursula Hall was one of the lowest rated judges at that time. And I told the party if they did not replace her, a Republican would sit on that bench. And that did eventually happen. That is the same situation now. Judge Davis is rated overall 72.9% needs improvement.
Wait, 72.9 needs improvement?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So there were a lot of civil attorneys that asked me to run. And that's what got me into it. What has gotten me to stay is because, honestly, I don't think she can do the job. And I do believe I can do the job better.
Right. So arguably experts in the field.
Right.
We're asking you to run. How many times you had to be asked before you said, okay? They say a woman take us so many times.
At least 4 times.
At least 4. Were they close in proximity? Or was it over a period of time?
It was over about a month period.
Oh, over a month period. Oh, that was quick.
But it was people who kept coming up to me. I guess maybe they were talking amongst each other. And I was kind of thinking, but not really. And then when these number of people, I said, well, Lord, you're going to have to make it clear to me. And when it kept happening, it was like, okay, maybe this is the direction God wants me to go.
Okay, so you've been in this race how long? When did you announce?
God, I think it was September, some of that time.
Okay. How's this campaign trail? I mean, here we are a week out from Election Day. We have 2 more full days of early voting. Tell me about this. Before we get into the politics and the politics and the storytelling, how has just the road as a campaigner, how has that been for you?
I'm grateful. Z and Joseph, my coordinator and my campaign manager, I thank God every day for that.
Okay.
They are the strategists. They are the people that keep me, got to go here, got to go here, got to go here. And I will tell you literally what I say to them. I feel like a high price call God. Because you're going, and you really are selling yourself. You got to tell yourself to people all the time. But it's what I didn't do the first time. You go, if people don't know you, they can't vote for you. And you have to talk to them. But I did tell them this is one thing that I would not change. I don't believe really in script. I mean, I believe there's certain information I got to give you, but I don't see myself as a politician. If you ask me a straight question, I'm going to give you a straight answer. I don't see any other way to do it. And so I've met, honestly, the candidates, there are great candidates out there. They're very nice people. I would not have gotten a chance to meet them.
Yeah, without being on the trail.
But for just genuinely fantastic people.
Shout somebody out. Who's giving you something to eat on the trail? Y'all be hungry on the trail. I mean, from candidates to their staffers, y'all look pitiful some days.
No one has technically fed me, but there are people who take the time out to talk to you. There are people who take the time out to encourage you. In all fairness, Mike Doyle has, Tracy has, James Hu.
Tracy Gibson?
Yes.
Tracy Gibson, okay.
Julia Maldonado, Alex Maldonado. And I know some names are just slipping right now, but
you find people building camaraderie.
And even though, come on, matter of fact, she's Julia's opponent for the 183rd criminal. And I met her mother, just fantastic people, caring people, intelligent people who have a genuine heart for what it is that they're doing.
Katie Wilson.
Yes. Just great people. And so I'm humbled by the opportunity to meet these people. Because they are just good people. And, it's hard when, like you have Desmond and the 14th Court of Appeals, and you have 3 individuals. They're all talented. They all bring different things that they would bring to the Court of Appeals. And if I make it, to the bench, they're going to be reviewing my work and what I did right or wrong. Hopefully a whole lot of right. But, but people who are just genuinely talented.
Talented, yeah.
And I get a chance to meet these people and talk to them. And so I would, like I said, but for campaigning, would not have that opportunity.
Okay. All right. So now you are campaigning.
Yes, ma'am.
You have been campaigning since September. It is almost March 3rd. It has hit the fan and bounced back and hit it again. We got 2 more days of early voting. Polls close tonight in 2.5 hours.
7 p.m. Yep.
You got 2 full days remaining tomorrow and Friday, and then election day on Tuesday.
Yes, ma'am.
To be this close to that finish line,
I'm
What
happy.
separates you? He said you happy. You need a nap, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they be deprived on these campaign trips. He's not telling me. I've seen it for myself. I've been eating Frenchies before. I was like, just here, take the rest of my wings, because baby, you were hungry, right? But you're right here. It's like when you're running a half marathon. For me, I was running a half marathon at Disney World, and I got that 12-mile marker, and my ankle said, "Ain't no way." And I said, "Come on, we got to keep going."
You gotta, it's funny you use a track, analogy. When I ran track, the coach would always say, you gotta run through the tape.
Yeah.
You don't finish at the line.
No, through the
you
tape.
run through the tape.
And through the pain. Jesus.
And that's the thing. You don't get it without sacrifice. You're not going to get there without the work. Honestly, I've said this, and Joe said it, Zia said, I don't know what more that I can do. I've met people. I have people calling out my name who I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You go up to people and you're giving you push cards, and they say, not see your name, you're already on my list. So that's encouraging. But it is tiring. When you're running and you have an active law practice, your income takes a drop because you're campaigning.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, you got to go to this location or that location. You got to go to this event. You got to go to this screening. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to file this. Got to file that. And so it all comes up. My wife told me a couple of times I was talking to my sleep.
Mm. That's a good pivot right there with your wife. So I was going to ask you, in your family, I don't know, you have kids, but in your marriage and with your kids, what have you found as like your must do to keep that balance, that work-life campaign balance?
My wife, she's from Groesbeck, Texas, and her father was a city official in Groesbeck, and he had campaigned. And so she is very, very wise. I learned to listen to her about pace. There are times she'll just say, no, you're not going. You're going to relax. My daughter is now 36. My son is 39. The most touching event I had was my first fundraiser. And it wasn't scripted. My daughter got up to speak, and she began talking about me and why people should vote for me. I had to turn away because I started to cry. She was saying things, really didn't expect she's my daughter. The standard joke I tell her all the time is, you're the mailman's daughter. And I tell her that because, I'm after my son too. They're both so smart. They're both so beautiful to me. And they have so many things and traits and abilities I don't have. So as a father, I'm proud. I'm proud of my children.
Yeah. You planted the seed, that girl.
And they're great people. In spite of me, they're great people.
Okay. Do you have a date night with your wife?
We try to. I can be honest, Valentine's Day came, I'm like, I'm on a campaign trail, dear. So, and she has been very, very understanding.
What's awesome is you said her father was an elected official. So she has some of that in her, knowing how to manage those expectations and to be supportive.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that alignment. Who would imagine she was going to need that skill and experience to help gird you up?
I wouldn't have planned it. First, if you'd have told me I'd marry somebody out of Groesbeck. Groesbeck. It's in Limestone County. You know where my head is?
No.
Okay, Waco is.
I know where Waco is.
Okay, so Waco is approximately north west by about 60 miles from Groesbeck.
Okay.
And if you're ever going up I-45 and you pass Buffalo,
Okay.
there's a turnoff, and you'll see it's Groesbeck, and it'll take you down into Groesbeck. And it's about 40, 50 miles from that.
45.
Yeah.
And it's Gross Bay?
Groesbeck. It literally means in German, big goat.
Big goat.
Big goat.
The greatest of all time.
But
and you gotta.
Look, fantastic person. And I mean, like any other marriage, we started off silver days. And but now we're at I think this will be our 25th year.
Okay. What's your favorite thing about your wife?
She has a unique ability to tell me the truth about me. Okay. In a pretty loving way. Sometimes, I mean, and she's, if she ever watches this, I'll tell the truth. The bottom line is there's some people who are going to be like, she is going to, be that quiet, but things, ain't right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's her. And like I said, at this point in the game, 25 years, we made it past what I call those early years when you think you know somebody, then you really find it out. And we got a 4-bedroom house. Every room got a TV in it. Kitchen got one, living room got one, every bedroom got one. So bottom line is, if there's a time and a moment where you don't want to
need a break.
Yeah.
Go to a room. Well, she sounds like a wonderful wife, wonderful person.
I think so.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to get to see that part of our leaders, right? The human part, because we put you on these pedestals and we forget you are our employees and not our employers. We uphold electeds and leaders, but I think it's really important for people to see you at your core. So you're a son, an attorney, a father, and a husband.
Elder. I'm the assistant pastor at my church.
Oh, let's get into that. So we went from college to military, law school. Where did seminary or theological school, like where did this I'm gonna be a preacher come from?
I was mom said that when, I guess because I was premature, she prayed. Because when back in those days, premature, you might not make it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, he's gonna be a priest because mom was Catholic. And I got of age, I'm like, well, mama, priest can't go to girls. I don't see that.
I'll do the next best thing. I'll be a preacher man.
But and honestly, it was one day I'd gotten divorced from my first marriage, and I was living in Austin, and a lot of things had just gone wrong, and people confuse having money and a title and position and saying you should be happy. But I had gotten to that point in my life, the marriage I thought I was going to have, didn't have, wasn't with my children every day at that point, different cities. And at that point, during that time, she had custody. That's not how I saw my life.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was taking a shower, and I don't know what came over me, but I literally walked out of the shower, butt naked, walked into my living room, and I looked up at the ceiling and I screamed, if this is all you have left for me, Just take me now.
Oh, wow.
And he sent the only thing in my life I would have paid attention to, I think, at that point in my life, was a skirt. And he was going to this non-denominational ministry. And I went, and there was this big black preacher, big old Texas belt buckle, boots, everything. But I heard the gospel, honestly, for the first time. And I realized I was not saved. There was no question in my mind. I'd been religious, but I knew I wasn't saved. And after I confessed Jesus as my Savior, something was saying, this is what I'm supposed to do. And I resisted for about a year and a half after that. And then it became clear, because my involvement with ministry was increasing. Now, my mom, good Catholic girl, you couldn't keep my mom out of the church. I'm just here to tell you, if there was any contention between my mom and dad, it was that. Because mama was always. Matter of fact, if I was doing something at school, you didn't have to know, because mama was going to find out, because she was usually there. And my father's statement was this, because if you want to know the truth, my father said, you're either going to become a lawyer or need one. So, because I was always out the classroom, I was always saying something, always.
In trouble. Me too.
And so, the fact that this is where I get to, but then I got involved in ministry, and then my initial mentors, Pastor Alfred Kent Booker, who's now in Tarrant County up in Fort Worth. He was my original mentor. I was a licensed missionary Baptist. And then I joined the ministry at Harvest Time Church of God in Christ, and my pastor is Superintendent Clifton Turner, and that's in Acres Home. And they met each other, and they were so similar, and they've become very, very good friends. And I have been under him now for 17, 18 years. And I have learned much under both. Pastor Turner has been the best person to give me an example as to what, as an elder, I should be. His patience, to a fault. Because I'm going to tell you, all you saints out there, let me tell you something. I'd rather deal with the unsaved than the saved. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you. Because at least with the unsaved, they do exactly what they're supposed to do. The saved say they save, but sometimes they do stuff just as bad as the unsaved. And so, but his patience, his ability to love, his ability to guide. Honestly, I have not seen anyone do it as well as he does.
Great example for you.
And that's what, I've tried to incorporate that. I think that's one of the reasons why, because I've seen some of those changes in myself. And some of the people who have said, you have a very judicious demeanor. Well, trust me, that changed over time.
It wasn't always like this.
No, trust me, it was not.
So, pastor, lawyer,
sailor.
Hold on, what was your rank in the Navy?
Commander.
Commander in the Navy. I mean, what is it that you haven't done? Like,
I've flown, so I thought.
Have you jumped out of plane?
No, my best friend did. Michael.
I did too. You need to do it.
I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I told him. As long as that plane is still functioning, there's no need for me to leave a functional aircraft.
It's one of the best experiences
He
of my
said
life.
it too. He said it was exhilarating,
freeing.
Mm-hmm.
I had a whole spiritual situation up there, just talking to Jesus.
But he said, honestly, he said, you know, even though you're coming down with a chute, he said, you're down really so soon after leaving. I said, yeah.
It's the best 8 minutes.
I'm like, look, you know, I tell people when learning to fly, landing is a controlled stall. And people don't know that because you got to bleed off speed. And so, and they take you up to at least like 10,000 feet. And then they make you stall the aircraft. And the way it's supposed to happen ordinarily is you'll have one wing dip and go into the telltale spin down. Mine didn't happen that way. When it stalled, I'm waiting for it to dip.
And it didn't.
And he says, look at your altimeter. I'm falling flat. Okay. And I'm looking at the altimeter, I'm losing 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 feet. And he'd be like, once you nose down, get some air up under your wings. And then once you do that, you got to go 45-degree pitch, go full power.
Wow. Oh, Lord. I have a cousin. He's my cousin uncle. That's what I call him because he's so much older than me. His kids and I are the same age. But I used to think he was Top Gun.
What he flew in the military?
He flew in the Air Force.
F-16?
I don't know what he flew, but he's a retired lieutenant colonel. And I could just see these pictures of him still in my mind when he's standing, you know, in his jumpsuit and all of that. So I remember when I jumped out the plane, I was like, Terry, look what I did. He's like, how do you feel? I still want to do it again. I'm serious. I'm going to do it again. And I told my partner, I'm like, babe, we need to do this. And he's like, I'll do it. He's not afraid of anything, but it's such an amazing experience. So once you win this race,
let's hope
in November, you know, get through March, get to November, maybe you do that to celebrate.
I ain't making no promises.
All right. So you're in this race.
Right.
Tell me about what is it that really got you in this race? I mean, you could have ran for any other judicial seat, the civil court. Why this seat right here, the 270th?
The 270th, honestly, is not being run efficiently. It's not being run practically. And honestly, when you talk about efficiency and practicality, you're talking about due process. You're talking about fairness to the people. There is, as a 60s child, there's something I honestly, truly believe in, and that is justice and the law. I know in today's kids, you don't see it, but I went to places in the 60s where I could not go in. There were times we were traveling from California to Texas or to Louisiana or Alabama, and there are hotels we could not go to. I remember being in Mississippi one time and being told, no, you gotta come through the back. You know, I went to a Procol High School in Southern California. I was called nigger there. So I know that the law is important. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, these are people I saw growing up. You know, when I was in college, I did a sit-in with Angela Davis. And actually did a farm walk with Cesar Chavez. And the law matters. It's access for people matters. In this state, when you have a Republican legislature enacting laws that have as a byproduct the elimination of privileges, opportunities for people of color and poor people, you need a judge who's not afraid to call that out. And I have no misgivings. I mean, at this point in my life, I'm 68. At this point, while I'm not thinking I'm gonna go anytime soon,
right,
but my road's coming to an end.
yeah,
And there's an opportunity to do something with the knowledge I've gained, with the courses I've learned. I've done civil rights litigation. When you're defending people, I did do criminal trials where you are that defense. Doesn't mean, but I've dealt with good judges, I've dealt with bad judges. I believe I will be a good judge. I believe that because of what I've seen and what I've experienced, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I'm supposed to be. And I think at this time in this country, we see the pivotal role that judges are playing, that the courts are playing,
yes,
in keeping things stable. But that same basis, that same purpose and procedure is what should be occurring here in this state.
Yeah.
Where you have a legislature that is honestly, redistricting. Help me understand that. When you're sitting up there and you're intentionally saying, we're going to dilute, you're going to vote, but your vote doesn't matter as much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can't tell me that you believe that we as a people matter when you're diluting the vote. It takes the judicial process. It takes lawyers who advocate. And number one, a judge can't advocate.
Right.
It's the job of the lawyers to advance the argument, but it's the job of the judge to hear the argument and use that Juris Doctorate training to interpret it and look at the law, look at the Constitution, look at the legislative process, and determine if what has been done is fair. And then if it's not, then have the courage to say no.
No. Mm-hmm.
And if there's anything that I would fault the Democrats for when they're in positions of authority, whether it's judicial or in the legislature, is they don't use the authority within their control to affect change. If your position is, well, it's the law, and that's what I'm going to do, then you're basically just doing something wrong to the people. When Republicans use this term, that judges should not legislate from the bench. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, help me understand. When the United States Supreme Court overrode Roe v. Wade, they legislated from the bench.
Yeah.
But they call that judicial activism. Well, guess what? Judicial activism is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It should be used because this is a democratic process. The purpose of any elected official is to effectuate the concerns of the people. The judges have a necessary role where we are supposed to be the very living embodiment of where the legislature, the law meets facts, meets people. And that's what we're supposed to do. And when you're in that position, if you believe that the law is unfair or the law is unjust, then you should hold it so. And then when there's a situation like Title VII, the initial Title VII did not include the defense that you're supposed to, the employer can, what we call basically the shit defense. Any reasonable or objective basis for termination, you have to defeat. That was not in the law initially.
Right.
That was judicially crafted.
Yeah.
It was inserted by the Fifth Circuit and other conservative courts to dilute the effect of Title VII. And what has it done? It has diluted the effect of Title VII. A judge should have the courage to say no. Because if you dilute it, then this objective basis becomes nothing more than a screen for discriminatory conduct.
Yeah. And
so we have to say no, because just as people say, well, the laws change, it has to be, it has to evolve. Well, guess what? people engaged in discrimination change too. They change their tactics. They tailor it to the nuances in the law. But you can't tell me that when I was a kid growing up, you never saw a black quarterback.
We only have one black quarterback in the Hall of Fame, but that's random.
But you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
You didn't see it. You know, a black governor? No. Black president? No. A black enlisted? No. Hispanics? No. It takes people seeing people as people. Because I value the judicial process, I hold it as being holy and necessary for a judge to uphold. And if I'm wrong, then take me up out in the courts of appeal. But I'm going to do what I think is right.
And do what you think is right. So why the 270? Because it's not being running.
It's not being run efficiently. It's not being run right. If I had to compromise my client's case in order to deal with the judge's local rules that deprived her of the opportunity to have that day in court. Maybe we win, maybe we lose. But at this point, it was going to be a loss.
Yeah.
And so to have to do that, no, that should not be. No lawyer should be confronted with a situation where you got 3 hours to get to trial when you did not know. Because lawyers, like anybody else, are planning their days.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden,
and your schedule is busy. You already have things. You already have appointments with a client. You might be with another judge. All these things could be happening. You have something else on your schedule. You know, you might have a hearing in another judge's court, in another county, look, hold on the other side of Houston, which is also an hour away from Houston.
Exactly right. And you have that. What about your witnesses?
Yeah.
In my medical malpractice case, my witness was a doctor in Las Vegas. So if I don't have time to, because he's a practicing physician.
I hear you saying respect. I hear you saying respect without saying it. So a courtroom should be a place that respects those who use the courtroom.
Respects the people, respects the attorneys, Judge Davis was held accountable by the Texas Supreme Court for failing to conduct an in-person jury trial. There are discussions where she has had improper communications with the jury. In the Houston Bar Association, and there, she's cited as, over 70% showing bias. These are things a judge should not be. In Texas, I mean, honestly, if you get above 50% because of our, system, you're doing good. But when you start dropping, honestly, below 40, there's an issue. Well, she's in the 30s.
In terms of approval rating?
Yeah, because when you're saying 72.9% say you need improvement, that means only 30-some odd percent think you're doing okay.
Yeah, decent job. Whew. So do you think she's been on the bench because of name recognition?
She is a hard campaigner.
She is.
And
she don't remember nobody, but she showed you that little yellow and red calendar. Like, lady, I did not want this calendar. I said it.
And honestly, I would tell anybody, she's a pleasant person.
Okay.
I would not say it otherwise. But pleasantness is not a job requirement.
Fairness is.
Fairness is. Justice is. Due process are. I'm sorry. She's a nice person. It honestly stated best by the Houston Chronicle, because we were both screened by them. And the Chronicle said, we ordinarily endorse the incumbent, and we do so in this case, except for this bench. In this bench, it needs a change. And it needs a change because they independently investigated. They talked to the attorneys. They looked at her numbers. They concluded that everything that the Houston Bar was saying, that I was saying, that the other attorneys were saying, it's true. And She's had 8 years to get it better. She has never been above 60% needs improvement. So it's not going to get better. And I met the Republican who, if I'm fortunate enough to make it to past the primary, that I'll be running against. Everything I'm telling you, he knows.
Yeah. I mean, it's public information.
So, what people have to understand, and I say this to the people who are listening, I know people like voting for somebody you like. Well, let me tell you something. Do you want the pilot who's flying you in a plane to be someone you like, or someone who's competent to fly a plane?
Yeah.
Because if you like the person, but if they're only 72.9% efficient, or 72.9% need improvement, the likelihood of you crashing is good. And that's exactly the condition of that court. It's crashing. The bailiffs don't want to work there.
Oh.
Court reporters don't want to work there. Court clerks don't want to work there. Why? Because
attitude reflects leadership.
And that's just it.
Oh, wow.
And so, there's this comment, when we were at the Loop, people saw for themselves.
Yeah.
But that ain't the first time she's done it.
Right.
And so I'm like, a judge at all times must appear and look judicial. I have never been at any event where she was looking judicial. I've watched her conduct trials.
Behavior.
That wasn't the case. She wouldn't rule on objections on evidence. That's basic. The attorneys had to force her to do so. And in one instance, when she did rule, I agreed with the ruling. And in others, it was like, hold on, why is this case even here? When you listen to the evidence as it was coming across, the defendants had pretty much conceded liability. So that means you should have granted summary judgment on liability. And the only thing we should be having a trial on is what? Damages. Well, you had all this time invested in establishing liability. Too much time. Especially when the defendant gets on the stand and says, yeah, I made a mistake.
Yeah, they've admitted they're liable. Yeah.
So those are the type of things that say, no, you're not good for this.
Yeah, you're not facilitating the court well. All right, so before we close out for this evening, tell the people who you are again, what you're running for, and then let everyone know. So remind us who you are and what you're running for, and then let us know where we can make donations to you and where we can find more information about your campaign online.
Okay, my name is Jimmie Brown. I'm running for the 270th Judicial District Court. I've been practicing law for 42 plus years. I'm qualified for the position. I'm endorsed by the Chronicle, endorsed by several organizations. But the most important thing is, if you believe in what I'm saying and what you've heard, you can go to my website, www.jbrownforjudge.com, and on Act Blue, but you can go to my website, it'll direct you to my to the Act Blue. All I want people to know is, if you want a stronger court, if you want a court that is going to be about the people, if you want fairness, because in all cases, and I'll be quite honest, as a lawyer, I've had cases where I should have lost, okay? That's just the reality. But I want you to know that I'm here to be the judge that you want me to be, and that I want to be for you. I believe the judge in the seat is for the people, because it is the people who are electing me. Early voting ends February 27th. Please turn out and vote. On March 7th.
Second.
Okay.
Third. Lord have mercy. Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Show up. Participate. Be there. If you don't vote, you don't have a voice. You don't have the right to complain about something if you don't vote. So vote. Make yourself vote. Take the time out to vote. Put the children aside or bring them with you. Vote. Because that's your opportunity to influence both parties. If you have a strong turnout, right now what Republicans are seeing are marked turnout here in Texas. Don't you know it's caused them to rethink some things? If you want change, vote. Even if you don't win, numbers influence people to change policy. Vote. So please vote for me, Jimmie Brown, for the 270th Judicial District Court. I want to thank you for taking this time out to talk with me.
Absolutely.
Hopefully I didn't bore anybody to death.
I learned a lot.
And like I said, for tearing up about my children, I love my children. And any parents out there, you know, especially when you reflect back, you think, yeah, there's some things I could have done better.
Yeah.
But in spite of all the mistakes I made, they turned out to be two great kids.
We did that right twice.
So, and Kalina, my daughter, my son is Jimmie O. Brown III, Kalina Janine Brown now, Abel. You are the mailman's daughter. Okay.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for joining us. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube page, Pretty Petty Politics. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and always share our content. Thank you, and we'll see you in about another 40 minutes for our third interview for today. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.